Public, only on BBC Radio Manchester. The time right now is around 21 minutes past 7 p.m. and you're locked on to the Dead Good Show with me, your boy Mars, every Monday from 7 till 10 p.m. Now, speaking of worried, with Valentine's Day just 2 weeks away, many of us will be thinking of what to do for that perfect date night. Of course, there are those among us who think Valentine's Day is a bit of a sham, all right? And we shouldn't be celebrating our partners or potential dates on that one day of the year. But if you're looking for some dating advice, look no further, okay? Because Alex Mellor-Brook is a matchmaking and dating coach based in Manchester with over 25 years of experience in the industry. He is the co-founder of Select Personal Introductions, a high-end dating service offering services around the UK. And he joins me right now. You're right, Alex?
I'm very good, thanks, Miles. Are you okay?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Now, you've been in this 25 years. I'm 25 years old right now, so I've got a pad and a pen because you must have the ultimate riz right now, which is slang in my world for game.
Yeah. What do you want to know?
So, Alex, do you think couples, new and old, put pressure on themselves around Valentine's Day in order to create that perfect date?
They can do. I think the key thing is to look at your partner, what is important to them, because if you think about it, I mean, Valentine's, I think it can be a little bit over commercialized, and sometimes it's just a kind of you're presenting something which is there. It's everybody's told you to do it. But I think if you look at your partner in particular and see what it is that kind of gets them, how do you get them, in the sense of, do they like quality time with you? Do they like the affirmations of kind of words, like somebody telling them how much they appreciate them, how much they love them? Is it the physical touch? So it's kind of love languages, the acts of service. So those are quite important, because what that will do is it will give you an idea of what is going to impact your partner the most.
No, of course.
Now, if it's a new kind of relationship, obviously, it depends how new. You know, you don't want to go too big if it's extremely new. Obviously, if you've been dating for a while, you need to put some effort in. And again, look at what is really important for your partner. These are key things.
So what you're saying is communication is key, right?
Oh, massive. But also, what kind of sparks your partner? Is it, does he, does she, do they want that big presentation? Do they want to be taken out for that big meal? Do they want that big bouquet of flowers? Or do they want something with a little bit more thought, a little bit more subdued? It could be a simple meal. I know when my son was younger, obviously he was young, we didn't want to go out, but we wanted to celebrate Valentines. Yeah. So what we did is we made it a family thing. We got some food in, we got one of those kind of meal deals. And then what would happen is we'd set the table up and everything. My son, he would put the music on, he'd choose the music. And then what he would do is he'd come in and serve it to us. He'd done the menus and everything. So we had a Valentine's evening, and he would do the kind of presenting of it and bring in the food in, which is absolutely fantastic. So something as simple as that means a lot is wonderful. But then your partner might want to go to that expensive restaurant, or they might want to go somewhere which is very, very romantic. Have a listen, have a look, and see what you're being told.
Of course. Like, Alex, I want to know, what are the most important things to focus on when newly dating someone? Because at the moment we're talking about, families and like longevity and actual full-on couples, right? But should they go with the fancy dinners, or just getting to know them on a deeper level, like going out for drinks or something like that?
I think if you were starting off, I would say what you need to do is take your time. I say this to everybody. The first few dates that you go on should be fun. You shouldn't be over-informed. You shouldn't be giving them too much information about you. It's not about you. It's about how the two of you connect, how you enjoy each other's company. So I always say it's a bite-sized, a little bit about yourself. Be positive. I don't want to bring. The one thing I always bang on about is don't bring negativity when you meet somebody on the first, second, third, fourth date, because that shouldn't be there. It should be that positive side, and a little bit about yourself. But how do you connect? It's early stages. You might meet 3-4 times and think, yeah, it's nice. We've had a bit of fun, but there's no connection. When you get to third, fourth date, that's when you start to feel the connection with somebody. That's when you should be thinking, do you know what? They need to know a little bit more about me. And the thing that leads to a successful relationship is it's those long-term goals. What does that person want? And again, when we're looking at dating, what does the other person want? If you've only just met them, they just might want a date. Yeah. They might not want a relationship. And that's where we struggle nowadays, in the sense that dating is so diverse. There are some people who just want to date. There are just some people who just want to go out for a meal and whatever else. And there are some people who want long-term relationships, whether that in the younger age group, they might be wanting a family. That's important to them. Well, it's not something you're going to bring up first date, but obviously it is something that you need to bring up near the beginning. So I would say 4th, 5th date, you kind of need to be talking about what your life goals. You need to be looking at core values. What makes this person tick? Because this is where we struggled through pandemic, in the sense of our morals, values, issues. Some people they didn't align themselves. They were just attracted to each other. It was more that initial kind of spark, the kind of eros stage of love, which is more the kind of lust. That's where the testosterone and the estrogen is flying around, so you're really excited. That doesn't make a relationship long-term. It gives you a short-term relationship.
That's a really
so if you're
good
looking for long-term.
That's a really interesting outlook, Alex. I couldn't agree more, especially in my generation, because like you said, dating is so diverse, especially going through different cultures as well. And what I really want to know, though, is what is the biggest mistakes that people regularly make in dating? What clients or people that you've had to provide candid advice based on avoiding those particular mistakes, and what are the specific mistakes that gets people not dating so much, or failed dates?
A lot of people self-sabotage, so they they might stop themselves from going on a date with the person. I always say, dating is a muscle. You've got to have those social skills. And I think now that we're working from home, we've kind of struggled. There's a lot of people out there who will go work from home. They might go to the shops, might go somewhere else, but that's it. They're not going into work. They're not getting on the public transport, talking to people, interacting with people, going to the office, interacting with them, coming home. So we've lost some of those skills. So I think the key thing is go and meet. Go sit in front, enjoy yourself, meet. Even if you are thinking, I'm not attracted to this person, go and test yourself. Go and find out a little bit about that person and see how you feel about it as well. Because from your perspective, if you're doing that, if you're kind of limbering up those social skills, those social muscles, then you are getting better at it. So that when you do meet somebody, actually you do find attraction, you're already there, you're fit, you're running, you're able to kind of go with that, and that date will pan out. But also, I think the other thing is some people use wrong indicators. I know when I work with a lot of single people when I'm coaching, sometimes they'll have that list, or they'll have the indicators that I'm looking for this, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for this. When actually, when we sit down and we go through what's really, really important to that person, we actually identify these really aren't on the list at all. There are so many other elements and formats that we need to look at, so that's where you look at the cognitive restructuring, in the sense of, look, you're using the wrong indicators to identify the person you want that relationship with. So it's about finding those so they can identify them, so that when they're meeting somebody, it will take a few meets to get those pointers out, but then they'll spot them and they can see it, and they know that relationship is going to have some strength for it.
I really vibe with your insight into how to analyze these mistakes, and more importantly, learn from those mistakes so you can get better a lot more in the dating world. But Alex, I'm going to have to put a pin in this conversation right now, because we're going to go into a quick song break. But we ain't over just yet, Alex. So we see you in just a second. Now, coming up next, I've got a bit of Coldplay and Beyonce for him for the weekend. I'm currently talking to Alex Mellor-Brook, a matchmaker, here to give us advice on a better dating experience, especially since Valentine's is coming very soon in the next couple of weeks. Alex joins me right now. You're right, bud?
I'm very good, thanks.
Fantastic. So, Alex, how should we approach dating? Should we come in with a big checklist, or what we want, or should we be able to open up to anything and anyone?
I think you've always got to have a list, in a sense, of what you feel is important for you, and try and make sure that some of that list is there when you meet that new person. Not all of it's going to fit. Not all of it is going to feel like this is absolutely perfect. Perfection is never going to be achievable. We've all got flaws, and it's how you appreciate those flaws how you see that as a strength, and I think that is the key thing. So having those kind of markers that we were talking about before are really, really important, because the point is they're important to you, especially if you're looking for a relationship. So, for instance, you were saying, Mars, that you're at 25, which is great. You're probably still in a stage where maybe you're still at the dating stage, you're still looking, but you will start to consider in the next few years about settling down. You'll think about, actually, do you know what? I want to spend more time with one person rather than enjoying my time with a number of different people. Yeah. And then that's when those elements will start to kick in. You'll start to really look at yourself and think, actually, do you know what is important to me? What do I want? And I think what makes it hard with any kind of relationship, whether you're younger or older, is we change. So I know when you get to about 29, 30, 31, as a person, you will naturally change. And that will naturally happen with everybody every 7 to 10 years. And when you change, you evolve. And hopefully, when you meet somebody, that relationship will evolve. You'll evolve together as you go through the longevity of that relationship. It's when you change too much, that's when the cracks start to appear, and then it comes back to what you were mentioning before about communication, open, calm communication, just so that you can talk about those things that are important. And I think it's also about boundaries as well.
Yeah.
And this doesn't matter what age we're at. Boundaries are really important, and that can highlight some of those markers that we're talking about. So if somebody does something that maybe just triggers somebody or annoys them a little bit, make that other person aware that, that does have an effect on yourself, so that they understand that. If they completely ignore it and keep doing it, then that's a kind of sign to you that, do you know what, do they have my best interests at heart, because they're not taking me into account, because I'm taking some of the things that they've mentioned to me in account when I'm addressing them. So these are all little things. I think the hard thing is nobody's the same. Everybody's different, and it's trying to work out what's right for you and what's right for the other person, and coming to some kind of compromise.
Yeah, 100%. In my generation, people call them icks these days. Now, would you say we're in a generation now where people can be a bit too fussy? Like you said, everyone's got flaws, and if you mark them out and people will clock them, they might change over time and make them a bit more better, a bit more established, if that makes sense. For example, my ick is bad hygiene. You know what I mean? I feel like if you got that, that's an instant no for me. But for the audience listening right now, do you think there's some people that are too fussy out there? What would you say to those people?
What makes dating so hard now, especially for kind of your generation, is it's a clean sheet. If we look back generations upon generations upon generations, there were times in the past where people lived in one community. They worked in the same place. They went to church in the same place. That all the families were. So you were introduced to people. Nowadays, we move around. There are no boundaries. We can go wherever we want to do. We can do whatever we want to do. And I think the problem, the thing that we struggle with, is making a mistake, because there's no guideline for us. Are we going to make the right choice? Are we not going to make the right choice? And then we add social media on top of it. That wonderful technology that shows all these perfect imagery and videos and all the filters, and everything looks absolutely pristine and perfect. And it isn't. We know it isn't. And I think that's the problem. So sometimes that can get in the way.
Yeah.
The Prime effect can also get in the way, in the sense of, go on Prime, we order something at 10 o'clock in the morning, it could be there before 10 in the evening. And sometimes people relate that to their dating experience, and it isn't. You can't just conjure up this person. They're going to be there. You've just got to put the time in to find them. And if you've got too many icks, then that will cause problems. But again, that comes down to an element that might be important to you. And if it's really, really important to you, then that's something that you have to say to yourself, do you know what? That I've got to go with that. That's something I can't get over. So, as I say, it's a very personal list. So if personal hygiene is an important thing for you, then it's an important thing for you. Yeah.
No, of course, I can see your reasons, Alex. Now, for someone that's been in the industry for 25 years, right, do the most successful long-term relationships consist of two people who consistently, you know, go out on dates with each other, or does the time you spend together and what you do together naturally change over the years? Like what have you learned to be the most strongest couples that have gone into their adolescence during their relationships?
You normally find the strongest relationships are the ones that really didn't amount to anything on the first or second date.
Interesting.
But yeah, the people who weren't quite sure, is this the person for me? I know when I met my wife, she was not interested in me at all. And we've been married 25 years, and we've been together for 30 years. So it's as I say, it's about, you are going to change. There are going to be moments that are going to stress you both, and it's how you deal with that. It's how you get through it together. And again, that goes back to, how does that person think? How do you communicate? What's important to them? What's important to you? Do you have the similar life goals? If you're going to raise children, how are you going to raise those children? Whose rules are you going to use? Is somebody going to be a little bit more flexible? Is going to be somebody a little bit more intolerant? These are going to be really, really important things. And sometimes where you might get younger couples who really kind of fall madly in love and everything, and suddenly have a child, actually the reality of life suddenly hits them.
Yeah.
And it's a case of, oh, now the whole dynamic of this relationship has suddenly changed. Now we're going back to the longevity of that relationship. Is it going to work? Are we going to stay together?
Yeah.
And that's what you've got to look at. And it will change. And some of those boundaries, as I said, because we evolve, will change. And it's about addressing them. It's about talking about them. And I think the other thing that we forget to do is, we always, for people in long-term relationships, never stop dating. You know, when you're dating now, Mars, you know, in 25 years' time, if whoever you meet, keep dating them. Keep going out for meals. Keep surprising them. Listen to what they really, really like. So it could be that little gesture, that little gift, that's the thing that gets them. That's what hits that sweet spot. That's what you need to keep looking at and keep doing and keep doing and keep doing.
No, 100%, Alex. You're really onto something right here. And what I love about you, all right, I'm getting this energy that you have a real passion for matchmaking. Like, what is it that you get out of it personally at making people fall in love?
Do you know, I mean, I work for a company called Select Personal Introductions, and when you first meet your client, obviously we talk to them on the phone, we find out a little bit about their history. Maybe they've struggled with some of the apps, and maybe they've come out of a long-term relationship, maybe they're starting off. Sometimes people have lost their partner, and it's about going from that point to actually introducing them to somebody that they go, oh my goodness, I really like this person. What do I do now? And then they're taking time out, and then they build that relationship. I mean, I remember one of the interviews I held, a young lady came in and she said, hi, and she got a phone out and she was opening it up, and I thought, what's she doing? And then she produced this photograph on her phone of a little baby. I went, oh, that is beautiful. She said, that's my sister's. And you introduced her to her husband. And it's like, wow. I mean, that's the kind of moment that you get as a matchmaker. You think, that is what this job is all about. It's incredible. But it's also, again, it's sometimes about educating people.
Yeah.
I mean, I talk about people organically dating, in the sense of going back to building their skill set up, because sometimes you can introduce people and they build that skill set, and then suddenly they start attracting people to them, which they've never done before. And because it's about them being comfortable and being confident about themselves, and that will give that vibe out. And what that does then, it attracts people to you. And it's a very difficult thing to achieve. And people always say, when we talk about coaching with people, they say, well, why do I need to coach? And I say, well, you can ask the same thing to Andy Murray. You know, he's won Wimbledon, and Djokovic, and all those people. They all have coaches watching them play tennis and go, actually, your backhand's it's slipping a little bit, or watch your forehand, or watch your serve. We need to work on this. And that's the same thing with coaching, in the sense of, it's about listening, it's about learning, it's about seeing how you can improve, so that as you build your confidence up, that helps your dating experience. And that's what it's all about. And if we can help people achieve that, that's brilliant. So we have people who come to us who will ask us to look specifically for them. There are some people who come to us and say, I'd like to be part of your directory, so that if we can introduce you, we will do. So that we cover all bases for everybody, which is absolutely wonderful. And if we can bring those people together and create a happy family, that makes it for me.
Fantastic. That's really tenacious of you, Alex, man. You should host Love Island next year, I think. You know what I mean? well, we're from the UK, so we are on an island, right? You know what I mean?
We are, absolutely.
So, Alex, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to talk to me here on BBC Radio Manchester. We appreciate the lovely advice you have for all of us for Valentine's Day. I'm going to get on Hinge right now.
Get on there, get some vibe out. And everybody have a wonderful Valentine's evening.
Fantastic stuff, Alex. Now, if you just missed out on my wonderful interview with Alex Mellor-Brook, a matchmaker for you love